There's something truly magical, in my opinion, about an understable disc and an overstable plastic, so that it kind of meets in the middle and is a straight flying disc with an incredible amount of glide. That's exactly what's happened with these three discs. The Dennis Augustin Gorgon from this year's Team Champion Innova Tour Series run, and this is Glow Halo Champ, and I think it's the most true to numbers of all these three that we'll be throwing today, more likely than not. The second one epitomizes this to a T. It is the Holly Finley Halo Champion Roadrunner. When I threw this with the Gorgon and the whole Innova Team Champion Series Tour Series discs, that's insane. It's supposed to be a Roadrunner, one of the flippiest 9-speeds that you will ever throw, but it flew like a Valkyrie, if not more overstable. And the final disc, that'll be in our 3-disc comparison today, is my Tour Series Halo Proto Glow Champion Sphinx. This is S-Blend Glow, the Gorgon is C-Blend Glow, and the Roadrunner is just C-Blend, all of which are Halo as well. Last year I ran just a normal S-Blend, and this year I was able to run the Glow. And if you couldn't tell, I like doing the flippy disc in an overstable plastic because this disc honestly turned out to be more overstable than last year's run, but we'll see through 9 holes here at Bird's Nest Disc Golf Course as I'm about to get rained on a little bit, it seems. CTPs being the main important thing because I know you guys like that. However, before we get into this, I will have to say you can snag all these on Infinite discs. Saw that some of these that have been on the site for a little while are only $15.99 right now. So if you want to snag last year's Sphinx for a steep discount, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I think I have to head back to my car and wait out this rain, and then we'll get onto the course. Nice safe. No, dang, just like little sprinkles. All right, I don't fully trust it, but we're gonna try. It seems every time I come and play this course for a review, the weather doesn't like me very much. One last thing before we get on to hole 1, these are not the only discs that fall into this category of understable disc, overstable plastic, or even specific runs. Maybe the plastic is the same as other normal flippy runs of a disc, but you find that for some reason the disc came out more overstable, but the mold itself is supposed to be understable. Think -3-1, -4-1. That's where the real magic happens, I think. Oh. Well, I decided I should stop. I saw a big thing of lightning. I did throw a hole 1, but we're just gonna cancel it out and head to a different course that I almost forgot about for reviews, but it would be perfect. Well, we moved about 15 miles and the weather's chasing us. We will be able to get these 9 holes in, hopefully, but we're at North Midway Park, one of my favorite little courses here. We're gonna be playing the Reds, so 9 holes down and back. There's a double-edged sword to this style of disc though, but I've talked so much and not been able to throw too many shots, so we definitely have to get started. I'll throw one quick warm-up with my Halo S-Blend Sphinx from last year. Hole 1 is only about 280 feet, but we'll try a little forehand. And one of the things I like about these is if your forehand is not great, if you have an understable disc, they tend to be easier to forehand or backhand just because they don't take as much power to throw. But when it's in an overstable plastic, it gets a little extra torque resistance, so you can wobble it a little bit more and it'll be a little more forgiving, but you'll still get good distance. But here, since I'm down-tempoing slightly, it'll probably be slightly flatter. Let's try last year's and see if we can stay somewhat warm from our 30-minute drive. Okay, turned over. That with this new one I think will be better because it is a little more torque resistant, but we're gonna start with Sphinx, then Gorgon, then Roadrunner, and we'll rotate the order. So next one, Gorgon will be first, then Roadrunner, then Sphinx. That way the CTPs will be a little more equitable. Little headwind, Sphinx first. Wow. Well, OB for the Sphinx right off the bat. Gorgon I think is a touch more overstable, but it is a little faster too. More understable is what I meant. Oh, that's money. And the Roadrunner, which is I think gonna be the most overstable, even though it should be the most understable by far. Oh, yep, that was definitely more overstable and more shanked. 1 point for the Gorgon. We'll be warm for hole 2. If you have a mold that you love, but maybe your arm is getting a little faster, if you could find it in a more overstable plastic, maybe it'll kind of grow with your arm speed. Or if you're a newer player and you want a disc that can grow with you, a disc like these will start out pretty overstable, and the faster you throw will start to fly more and more like its flight numbers. But that's just kind of true of every disc. Really? I'm getting sprinkled on already? Oh, yeah, Denver hates me today. Because of how crazy this has already been, no putting today. Gorgon with the CTP, Sphinx OB. It's gonna be real bad if the Sphinx gets 0 CTPs today. It was close, just out of bounds. I will say, very biasedly, Sphinx feels the best out of all 3 of these. but that's probably why I chose it to be my Tour Series disc, because I liked it a lot. Hole 2, we're going to the red. It's about 395, so we'll get to see a more full rip with all these. So we do have a little headwind, but not that much. Gorgon is up first. I think all of these I'm going to try to throw flat at the basket, see how much they want to turn and fade, and get a pretty true look at the flights at about 400 feet. And this is, I think, where we'll see kind of the double-edged sword, which I'll tell you about after we see who won CTP. Roadrunner. Oh, okay. See, there it is again, the same double-edged swordness. A little farther, and Sphinx. Oh, why did I shake it so bad? No! Oh, okay, all three of those were good examples of what I wanted to talk to you about. But when I say that these discs can have a double-edged sword, it's basically that you tend to get the most distance when you throw like an Anheuser flex line. There are some people who throw max distance hyzer flip lines, but I'd say for the majority of people throwing a big Annie, they get the most distance. Now these discs can add some distance if you're throwing flat to flex because they are an understable mold. So they want to kind of hold on the Anheuser if you get them tipped over. They are kind of harder to flip up to that point, but if you start them flat or on a little bit of turn, they'll hold it for a good long while. I actually thought that Roadrunner was going to ace it, just because if I throw a disc on that flight and it turns the way that it did, a typical disc that has the flight characteristics of these discs, but is flying true to its flight number, so like that Roadrunner is 9.6 -4.1, but it really flies more like a 9.6 -1.2. All of those discs, newer out of the box like this one, will start to fade faster. Whereas what you saw with all three of these is they have a lot of late turns. So they just kind of hold it. And instead of getting back to a stable edge in the last 25-30% of the flight, they do it in the last 10 or 15% of the flight, which is great because you get a lot of extra distance, but it makes them slightly less controllable than like a typical 9.5 -1.2, even though they'll probably go slightly farther for you because like where they're going to actually get out of that glide phase is a little bit longer in the flight. So that's kind of the double-edged sword. You can get some more distance, but you might sacrifice a little bit of control. If you're throwing them to be your max distance disc, then you might still be able to control them very well, and you still can. You just have to learn them a little better. Roadrunner is slightly closer than the Gorgon, and also a prettier shot. Sphinx, unfortunately, no CTPs. Sky, unfortunately, looking gnarlier on the hole 3, which is my favorite on the course. OB left and right, 381 feet. Roadrunner has the box. Roadrunner is the domiest alongside the Gorgon. The Gorgon might actually have a touch more dome, but they're very similar. And the Sphinx is the flattest in this colorway. Some Sphinx came out a little domier, and they're actually a little more overstable than the one I'm throwing here, which is still pretty overstable looking. I think we got a right to left. Nope, mostly tailwind. So pretty much just flat again at the tree, let it turn and fade, and hopefully one of them gets close. But 1 for the Roadrunner, 1 for the Gorgon, 0 for the Sphinx. Came out actually a little Anheuser, and it's gonna be fine. That is just not a Roadrunner. I mean, that's a 390-foot shot with a Roadrunner that started out flat to Annie. That's nuts. All right, Sphinx next. Very similar to that, but probably will be a little more understable. Yep, exactly. Very similar, just a little more understable. That's my disc, what am I doing? And the Gorgon. Started that one out a touch of hyzer instead of flat to Annie like the other two. And it's fine, but the Roadrunner might have it again. All I'm saying though is hole 4 is a 450 par 4, and we're taking the fun line. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt. I'm actually gonna leave you guys here so that you can hopefully see the full flight, because I'm gonna try to go over and around these trees and hopefully not throw it in someone's yard. The Gorgon is here, about 20 feet. Oh man, it's gonna be close to hitting the Roadrunner. Roadrunner has it again for sure. 2 for the Roadrunner, 1 for the Gorgon. Sphinx got the right distance. I just tried to recreate the shot with the Roadrunner, and this thing is way more overstable. Not way more, but definitely more. Alrighty, par 4, 450 something feet to the red basket. Would be sweet to get an eagle here. Sphinx has the box. We're going big turnover route. This is one of the things that I love about a disc like this, is because it's a more understable disc, the glide does get elongated, so you can throw these sweeping turnovers better, because instead of just diving to the right, they'll actually fight against it while still gliding to the right. So it makes a shot like this a little easier in my opinion. Still not an easy shot, but this is the disc to do it. Oh man, if that's in grass, it's safe. It's the right distance. So the Gorgon, I think that's because I think it's a touch more understable. And then the Roadrunner will have to actually be more Anheuser. All right, Gorgon next. Ah, come on, Panda flat, don't dive. Oh, that's close. This is such a fun line. That shot with the Roadrunner, money. Come on, flex. Oh man, a little too much Anheuser. Oh wait, I got my Sphinx. I gotta try that with last year's Sphinx. This shot is too fun. That's money. That's the one. Oh, that is just way too fun of a shot. Hopefully you could see that. Hopefully you could hear all that because the transmitter worked, but the Sphinx might finally get one, but the Gorgon's pretty close too. I will say too, adjust this concept to the disc you like to throw. If your typical straight disc is a function, even flippier than any of these, if you look at the horizon function, those are a little more overstable. I had a buddy, I think Fez, who was throwing the functions a lot, and he had one that was his normal disc and then one that was his overstable one. I think the flippy disc in a stable plastic, I will say it does lose you some control. You kind of have to let the disc do the work and trust it. But if you can build a good relationship with your overstable flippy discs, I think it'd be worth it to try. Gorgon is pretty close here. No eagle. I should try to make these for eagle. The Roadrunner, also pretty close, but not quite as close as the Gorgons. The Gorgon still has it. If the Sphinx is inbounds though, that's the only one that I got the full flight and got the full distance. Roadrunner made it though. Oh, eagle from the Roadrunner. Get through it OB again. Like an idiot. Oh yeah, of course. The Sphinx would have easily taken the CTP. And the eagle. But instead it's gotta be the Gorgon. 2 for the Gorgon, 2 for the Roadrunner. This Sphinx last year's was the actual CTP closest, but that one doesn't count. So now moving on to a 350 foot hole, which I think is where a lot of people would see these stretching out their 330 foot drives. If you're normally kind of flexing something to get to 330, if you take something like this, flip your disc in overstable plastic, take a shot every time I say that, or don't, because that would not be good medically for you. But if you stretch out a 330 foot shot with one of these, I think you can reach some max distances if you're typically throwing in the low 300s. Going to the red out there, I think instead of just kind of throwing my typical crush a hyzer around it play, I will try to go slightly straight out with a little turn, just to kind of recreate the shot that I was talking about a second ago. Gorgon first, I think this will be the best at doing that shot because it'll hold turn the longest at shorter ranges because it's the most understable. I also just found myself doing this all the time. It's addicting. I think that's a little short. Maybe not. Yeah, I think that's probably 20 or 30 short. Oh, not Sphinx next. Roadrunner next. I think this will actually be better on a similar line, but I'm gonna try to pop it a little harder. Get over the tree. Oh, right inside of it. It still holds well, but it just fights out faster. And now the Sphinx. This is the one. Get the CTP. Hold. Oh no, I shorted it. It's gonna be close, it's gonna be close. Shoot. I just gotta start faking this video so the Sphinx can get some CTPs. What am I doing with my life? Okay, this is actually closer than I thought. Roadrunner in the tree, Sphinx right here. And the Gorgon, I think, unfortunately, the Gorgon is a touch closer. The Roadrunner would have been if it didn't get stopped by that meddling tree. Also, a very cute stamp. The alien with the little kitty. Yeah, the Gorgon is the closest. Shoot. No birdies at least. And we move on. Gorgon is now 3 CTPs. Sphinx could claw it back. We have 4 holes to play. It has to win them all. The storm seems to be catching us right now. We're gonna go ahead and set up from 318 away. Get a good idea of how these throw at that distance. We're gonna try to throw right up the middle, not taking kind of this big wide hyzer. This is gonna be interesting because we have some headwind. These do manage in headwinds, but they start to act more like their previous counterparts. So it'll be a little flippier. I still think they hold up better in headwinds, obviously, than the flippier versions of themselves. Roadrunner has the box. Man, stick grass, but try to throw it a touch of hyzer, just right down the pipe. Ooh, shanky. It's held straighter though because of the headwind. Oh, it did stay on the path though, so even though I got the distance right, I think my body lined up straight that way. That's a big loss. All right, Sphinx up next. Let's throw one actually straight. There we go. Oh, the wind kind of, not a lot of wind there. And the Gorgon, if this one takes it, I think it's the champ for sure. Well, I think the Sphinx technically got that one, and we're taking it. I really need to work on throwing from tall grass because it is so uncomfortable for me. As it stands, it still probably would have got it, but it would have been closer if the Roadrunner stayed in bounds. Maybe a good thing I'm not putting today. One thing I think that last hole showed me, these discs are not like down tempo discs for me, or at least I don't tend to prefer them that way. I think I noticed there that like, because they have a lot of glide, but in my head they're understable, but they act a little overstable, I have a much harder time down temping on them than a typical super understable disc, because I can just pop it on a little nose up hyzer and it'll act how I want. Whereas just the nose up flat shot is not what I'm good at. So I'm sure it's more of like a problem with me, but that's something I've noticed with this type of mold. All right, I'm gonna rip these three real fast. We're going 418 to the long. I'm gonna try to split the trees just to see how that goes. Sphinx has the box. Ooh, shorty. Throwing short right now. All right, try the Gorgon. Hit it a little harder, buddy. Come on. That's better. But still, oh, that one's a little flippier. All right, Roadrunner, last chance. This one is the best option for this shot. And I threw it the best. Oh, maybe not. Maybe too much anhyzer? No, it is, see, there's that late, that doesn't fade at 30% of the flight. It fades at like 10%. I thought that was money, but it just ended up being a little too overturned. We'll see which one's closest. The Sphinx wasn't bad. You're just going more uphill than you think on this shot, and I always am 50 feet short because I'm like, oh, I threw the right distance. But I forget about the 5 to 10 feet uphill. Okay, so the Gorgon and the Sphinx, same problem, just too low. They're gonna burn over a bit. It's like 70 feet. I feel like it's gotta be, yep, Roadrunner. Basically got the distance, just a little more right than forward. This thing is pretty sweet. Obviously, I like all these discs. And Roadrunner and Gorgon are at 3 apiece. Sphinx can tie them up. That would be poetic. I do have an ace clause though. This next hole, super aceable. I am gonna try to down tempo on these, but extra down tempo. There seems to be like a middle range in that like 40 to 60% power that I'm very uncomfortable with them. That's like 300 to 330 feet straight shots. For some reason, this 180 foot shot, I feel much more comfortable throwing these. Sometimes I wish disc golf was like fully logical, but where's the fun in that? Stand still, we gotta. Oh, it's way too nose up. So that happens when you come up instead of rotate. All right, Roadrunner. Whoa, getting dialed. Come on. Oh man. Well, 2 CTPs for the Sphinx. Are they cheater CTPs? Maybe. I'll take them though. Oh! None of these were bad, but none of them were as good as the Sphinxy boy. Putter feels good. Ooh, it's so pretty. Oh, and this one glows in the dark. What the heck? It's like a must get. Okay, final hole. Obviously, you know I like these type of discs. I will say, I think just a flippy disc is something that I haven't thrown a lot of. I've been throwing a lot of my Sphinxes and kind of shying away from the even flippier stuff, which would probably just be a normal S-blend Sphinx or even I-blend or something. And I think I need to put some of those in the bag for those kind of mid-distance touchy little shots. Whereas these work great, I think, for more power shots for me. And that's what I'm realizing. And I think That's a good realization, because I try to force it into everything, because obviously it's my disc, it has my name on it, and I love it, but you can't fit every disc to make every shape, and sometimes you gotta learn that the hard way. That being said, it can get the CTP done here, but we'll throw it first this time, just so there's just no funny business. That way if it's CTP, it's like actually for real. Right to left wind, so not an easy forehand, but I'm gonna basically try to keep these on hyzer the whole way. A disc like this also, great to learn smooth forehands, because it does have that understable DNA, so if you roll it a bit, it's just gonna roll over and you're gonna be like, wow, this thing is so flippy. But if you throw it with a smooth spin, clean release, and little wobble, it's gonna act like it does on a backhand, just forehand speed, so. That's pretty decent. Gorgon next, a little more hyzer, a little more height, and these are much better. Where'd the wind go? Go in though. Oh my. Well, I think the Gorgon might have won, unless Holly Finley and the kitty could pull it out. See, there's that wobble, and you see that one flipped up the most, even though it's just continuously been the most overstable. I kind of like did something weird with my arm there, and it wobbled it, and it got up to flat. I did that to teach. That's pretty cool. That was a teachable moment, and not something that I totally messed up on. What a close battle. Gorgon, Roadrunner, Sphinx. Roadrunner has it officially second place, because the Sphinx is the default winner. On a technicality, of course, you know, congratulations to the Sphinx. It has the halo for a reason. Stinks that Roadrunner and the Gorgon were always resigned to second and third place, but at least we know this isn't biased. I may start in that hole again. I gotta hit some metal, and then I'll officially send you off. Subscribe. Also, these all were in the 50K subscriber giveaway. They're going back into those boxes now that I filmed this review, and all the winners have been contacted. Just replied to their comments. Most of them have emailed me so far, but check your YouTube replies to see if you won, if you entered the giveaway on my community post, or check yesterday's video for the winners. Woo! Terrible. Oh, what the heck? Oh. Come on. Oh, that disc was the Doomsday Disc Chemtrail, one of my favorite discs. Actual flippy. Maybe some banana butts coming on that guy soon? Who knows? I mean, I do, but you don't. Bye.